that are picked up on, that are, because it's product design, it's not mentioned as a part of the efforts, right? It goes invisible or unnoticed or unvalued, not seen as a value that is flowing and circulating. And so, not just to how did the bounty get there, because like you said, it's a reasonable top-down thought to have, right? Let's make sure these are not exploitable contracts. But beyond just how obviously our system design takes that into account too, right? The horizontal structure building, horizontal journey building, even, right? But and obviously that's a huge benefit of what connection to the grants program ambassadors is that we have those type of cards paths available. But I think it's even more nuanced in terms of what is going undervalued or completely unseen or not valued at all in what is
the hidden capital.
Yeah. What are some of the hidden capital? Like even in the upskilling, right? There's hidden capital in the person that extends their hand to upskill you, right? There's hidden capital in that person, like Haas saying, seeing that labor pay off, and a newly skilled person is now contributing to the ecosystem.
So you mean, like, for example, the Merrick was like sort of, he wrote like maybe like we should do more upscaling for OBS, and it sounded like he really appreciated, whereas like me just like, isn't that just passing the thing along? But maybe to me it's a very natural thing, like to have more people. For me it's a more of a practical thing, like more people can record it, because you can't just rely on one person to turn up to the meeting every time, because that person got other things to do and stuff. So I didn't think about like, maybe I didn't go as deep to think as appreciative or more like cosmic like you guys did. I'm more like a practical guy, I guess. And then so I thought it was just having more people available if needed, more like we have backbenchers, let's say. But from what you're saying, it's actually potentially a very hidden capital and a very appreciative thing. Like, like Haz was saying, like, oh, her mom did something. Maybe it's normal to many, but maybe it's something very undiscovered, unappreciative normally. And everybody has almost like something to contribute, and everybody has their own skills and traits and strengths and weaknesses, and basically we are building up a bank of doesn't matter who you are, you have something that is appreciated, that you can bring to the table, that may not be appreciated conventionally, but in this other system design, your skill set is recorded and appreciated.
Yeah, and as you were talking, I was thinking, it's kind of like the composition of music, right, or a song. There's the main arrangement, right, that is important for the structure of the song. Maybe the meat and potatoes, if you will, right, of the song. But then there's ad-libs, right, that are important for filling in space wherever there is space. And the nuance that Hans gave, and even the nuance that Merrick gave, these are the adverbs of our regenerative abundance. And the innovation is the meat and potatoes, it's the arrangements, the structure. Right? The new innovative flows for debugging are possible when you take that regenerative commons approach, because you're able to name it, make it visible, included in the value that came out of the effort, in addition to the resolving of the bug, right? And so across the board, right, it's this decoupling of top-down power that unlocks innovation. It gets us away from scarcity and competition in the bounty program and towards mutual aid. That even if it means, okay, now this project has gotten so much more folks added onto it that it probably needs a bigger amount of money to contribute to. Well, that's not a negative thing. That just means that now you have more innovation to invest into. The rate of innovation increases. And again, this goes to the ethos of Stacks since the inception. It's something that clicked in what you were saying about the value of a systems design approach to values as opposed to conventional product design when it comes to bounty structures. Even in, like you said, the process of coming to the bounty that's selected, but also the way that the effort, the people organize themselves and getting it done. They organize with the foundation of scarcity, with no mechanisms for autonomy, functional mechanisms for autonomy, connected to these long-term incentives of sustainability, core value preservation, right? If all of that can go invisible, or can be conveniently or intentionally left out in product design, in system design, right? You're thinking about it, you're designing for it, right? And this is when you start to see the function of autonomy, the function of regenerative commons, power of your respective voices in a respective bounty program. And so you really see, right, here are these bounty programs that are supposed to be a tool for innovation, for bringing in people, call for innovation, right? But just because we were not exposed to different models of organizing ourselves in doing that, we can stagnate the innovation that we're trying to achieve with the bounty program in the first place. And so this is hopefully the advantages to systems design when brought into bounty programs. But like I said, the plug-and-play ability of it all, which is a good point of bridge work for yourself, and a big point of the residency program can be thought of as a somewhat of a bounty program, right, or a task creation program. And the open source tooling, the innovative open source tooling, is what is what's supposed to come out of our commons. Right. So this is as soon as we heard the opportunity for the residency, for the Gov Lab and connection to advocates and all of this, right? We saw an opportunity for regenerative commons design, right, being implemented. And so it really shows you how much it is at our discretion even. Anybody who picks up these conditional bounties has the discretion to think in systems design. We just don't, because we're not exposed to it. So every bounty program, if you think about it, has the potential for folks, to have these models and tooling plug and play for other folks to replicate. But we just don't, because we're not exposed to it. Right? The residence program and our approach to it as a Gov Lab is proof that it's at our discretion. Right? It's pretty remarkable, and so thank you kindly for trying to come up with that concrete example. It was important for understanding. I hope that made sense.
Yeah, thanks. Definitely agree with you there. And yeah, I think it's almost like it's great because there's so many like important ideas here, um, coming out from this governance lab research, and lots of things get stayed in research, like even Munib has said, um, and he wants to turn it more. Well, he said commercialize it, but what he means is he wants to take it out of the university and implement it into the world. That's what he means, I think, underlying. And what I'm saying is there is a great idea here, and we just need, um, eventually we'll need to turn that idea into, how does that apply to an actual project coming here, um, and be able to use this tool, um, because if we cannot make that final bridge, it can stay very researchy. Um, but to have the biggest impact that you want, that you envisage, um, cannot just stay researchy, and ideally
Yeah.
implementable, and that final piece to the final greedy person that comes into Stacks NFT because they seen the volumes. They see on Twitter, wow, Stacks is like gaining like, one day, a few days ago, 2 days, I can't remember. It was a big spike, right? Because some news of the OK Coin partner with whoever, another like 100 whatever million. So what tend to happen in this case is some random dudes from like Ethereum or Solana, they see this, wow, this only green coin in the top 60, and they notice it, and then they go, okay, they were thinking about launching a project somewhere, but then they uh, had a quick look of what is Stack. Oh wow, people didn't know they can design smart contract on Bitcoin, and then they started doing a little bit of research, and then they consider moving here. And how does that person, um, use a tool like ours, when they move their idea to the Stacks ecosystem? And that comes from the greed, right? Initially, that person is thinking of, okay, here is a market potential. It comes from self-interest, like with everything else. But that person comes, and the decision that person start to take in this ecosystem will be very samey, like every other ecosystem, that just go where the people are, uh, trying to start from small and get more money. But by hopefully catching that person at an early stage and be able to educate or let that person use a tool that we designed, and the governance consensus process and everything else, hopefully that can, make that project better, if that is right.
Yeah. No, did like this whole thing is about transformative potential. And that this function of autonomy is just that transformative potential, um, maximizing it, squeezing the most possible that's there. Um, this is something we learned directly from the indigenous dialogue, right? And you said something interesting, right? Particularly about Munib, and it's been a part of the Stacks ethos since Namecoin, right? Getting research out of the lab and into the real world, right? And you said something, right, that it can't stay in the research phase. So there's something called, there's a name for that called development, right? Research and development, right? And maybe development isn't the best word, but maybe it's something that we can use, right, to leverage the momentum of this language coming right from Munib himself, right? There's something unlocking about research if you do make it indefinite, if you make it, for example, the example you gave about the debugging, part of the innovation that I was speaking to could technically be considered experimentation, research in debugging, right? And the bounty itself, whether it's a bounty for debugging or a bounty for research about debugging, doesn't debugging still get resolved? But then it gets to get resolved on our terms as generators of value, right? With all this felt autonomy and all this good stuff that we spoke about before. And even if someone is there for greed, there's a transformative potential there. And there's a transformative potential just in the notion of research being commercialized. The commodification of research and development on our terms. What is that?
I don't know. I just know the conventional process.
Yeah.
But you're speaking of a much deeper nuance in the definition and the phrasing. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you think about it, conventionally you can't, there is a research phase and a product phase, right? A consumer facing phase. But what if the consumer facing phase is still research and development?
Yeah, I agree. This is, I mean, earlier I was gonna say because even if we got all these nailed, the charts, the flows, the consensus, the Discord bots and stuff, we still need to launch it. Not like some sort of official launch or anything like that, but it will get used by different people. And I was almost gonna say even at that point, I cannot get. I can say I really love doing all this stuff, but it's still not a guarantee that that is gonna work in the wider world. We all have the good intention of making it work. We cannot control how widely adopted. We can only do our best to let people have the opportunity to adopt it as widely as possible. But it's not a guarantee once everything is set up, it will be successful. And I'm just sort of looking at a more realistic perspective, but little bit linking back to what you said, Harold. It is all still ongoing research and ongoing experimentation, because once people use some of our process and flows, there will be new things, new thoughts, new sense making session, coming out of it. So back to what you said, yes, it's all kind of still in research phase. So I do, agree to some extent.
Yeah. No, I think it's a weird concept, but I've been playing with this for a little while. For anybody who would endure me, right, about the unlocking capacities of research and development as business models themselves, right? The commercialization of research, if you will, right? but not, because it's that bridge work. All of a sudden in research you can look at, ecological, value flows, labor value flows, expression value flows, so on and so forth. But as soon as it gets bottom lined out, right, most things get made invisible intentionally or conveniently. And so it's the bridge work where, from research to commercialization, that becomes important. If that bridge work is on our terms, if we have this indefinite research built in, the way that it was built into a generative commons approach to that Alex boundary model you mentioned, right, for debugging. Right? All we did was build in a little bit of research and development, right? Opening up the end of it a little bit, right? So that, as many folks can come in with their contributions as possible to innovate on the structures or the workflows of debugging, right? And it's just a hypothetical example of what's possible with something that is usually a conventional means to boundaries, right? But it seems, right, that just opening that up, like I said, the bugs can still get done, they can still get resolved. Right? It's just now the product has expanded, right? The market has grown in the conventional language, right? And that's the thing. Folks who have a conventional lens will always have a conventional lens. When we talk about regenerative commons, as much as we talk about it, they're going to keep thinking about it as expanding markets to be commodified. And maybe that's us playing to their ego a little bit. Maybe that's us using the language they're using about, bringing research to commercialization. It's momentum that we can leverage, because then it allows us to work and live in structures that we define, and we just get to call it research and development. That's kind of what the GovLab is. So it's kind of proof that it can be done, right? And it's proof that there's folks willing to invest in that. So there's proof in that being a business model that's applicable to not just the GovLab, but debugging approaches. And, maybe a whole lot of other things that are maybe considered hyper-consumer facing. If you zoom out just a little bit, there's capacity for regenerative commons there too.
Yeah, it does make sense, I think. Yeah, just deep, like well thought.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not the first time I thought about this. So hopefully that's lending itself to some clarity, because the example I give is, it's the same thing with like these so-called democratic structures. Like I said, it's not just our political organization; it's also how we organize ourselves business-wise. It's built into international and domestic law, and it's essentially us persevering in spite of structures that make all of our abundance artificially scarce. We just don't know how to organize differently, that we can, or that's at our discretion to. And I realized that about just a restaurant model, business model, or any business model. Right? We're just locked into what we're exposed to. And as soon as you move it to research and development for some reason, there's this unlocking. And I think it's because of the overlap with indigenous modes. Right? The council process, in the sense making, is their indefinite research and development for the face of the earth or the future generations. The fluidity in the decision making, evolution, based on circumstances. This is indefinite research and development. You never get out of the research phase. Why? Because that's dangerous. For resilience, for diversity, and so this is some of the thinking, right? You just have a conventional restaurant business, which is it's like the money pit of all businesses. It's like the boat of businesses. And we can't, think out of it, right? Maybe folks have thought of like pop-ups and different structures, creating more artificial scarcity. Ideas folks give, right, in this hype beast stuff, right? Let's create even more artificial scarcity, right? And this is different somehow, right? But if you go into research and development or in restaurant business, all of a sudden you're focusing on humane machines, getting into digital fabrication of your own machine on your own terms. You're getting into packaging on your own terms. It's actually compostable recipes that don't require things to be on the sun to degrade, or a billion years to degrade. It degrades after the way single things should degrade if they're single use. Right? You start thinking like that, and use the momentum of SDGs, use the momentum of so-called green industry. Before you even get to setting a price, right, selling a plate, getting a core consumer base, organizing a labor force, worried about all the hard labor that could go into the successful restaurant, right? Before you even get into all that, all of the business monetary goals, before you even get to that phase, if you already have revenue streams coming in from research and development because of all of what's possible, right, in terms of bringing in revenue streams in those different ways. By the time you get to selling that plate, now you can, you don't have to think about selling that plate if you don't want to. Now you can focus on innovation of the food if that's what you're passionate about. You can focus on bringing people together if that's what you're passionate about. You can focus on feeding people if that's what you're passionate about. But this is what I mean by it. It's simple business models like that might be considered hyper-consumer facing. Even your apps that considered hyper-consumer facing or mundane. Just put them in the context of a system design where it's making impact, that you're passionate about. I don't care what it is. Your own circumstance can define that. And all of a sudden, that application or that education approach or that debugging solution becomes intrinsically motivated and a deep, impactful piece of one part of the system that is changing lives or unscarring ecosystems somehow, right? And I think that's where a lot of the transformative power lies. Maybe not in the greedy folks, but in the generators of value that the greedy folks usually have to depend on to get done what they want to get done. So, but even the greedy folks, right? Slowly but surely, because they're greedy for a reason. It's because it makes sense in a system of artificial scarcity to preserve yourself. They're irrational rationale. But when you can show them what peace looks like, show them what regenerative commons looks like, they can see themselves in us.
So if I may,
that's a part of,
if I may just tag on to what you just said about restaurants, and I want to hear what Merrick has to say, because I think Merrick was about to say something before he's like nodding his head all the time. So I want to see what he's thinking. But like going off to your restaurant example, right? So it's almost like the typical top-down structure of a McDonald's, let's say. I don't want to pick on McDonald's or anything, but just saying if it were a McDonald's structure, I don't even know what the structure is. I'm just trying to make an example, like a top-down restaurant structure of all the decisions get made at the top, what packaging you're going to use, like it's all commercialized, standardized, and what each employee has to do, like the job description is so clear, but clear in the Web2 or whatever. Yeah, clear in some sense. People may say it's very clear, efficient, and works really well. You can make more burgers per minute, all very very structured and very rigid, right? And each person is not allowed to think outside the box. Each person has no say in, oh, what about this chips? Maybe it doesn't have to be packed in the red cardboard box, So in one structure, you have a very top-down model. Everything is specified. What you have to do is specify. Each employee cannot think too much apart from just checking the money, fry the fries, put the fries in the red box, and it's time to 3 minutes frying. So it's very, yeah, there's no creativity there. And then there's another restaurant, similar, selling fries, burgers, but that structure allows each employee to come up with their own suggestion about how a restaurant can be improved. Maybe one person says, "Oh, maybe we should be more. We should make people more welcome as they walk through the door." Okay, it's not about how many fries you're gonna churn out every minute, but it's about that individual, the value of that employee coming up with that idea. It's a hidden capital that we did not discover before, because that employee is actually making the business more like a family almost, and that person feels nice walking through the door, and it's an untapped creativity, to the organization, and it brings a unforeseen hidden value to the customers as well. And it's because the structure is not top down, the structure is more horizontal. Every employee is able to make suggestions about how the restaurant could be better run and participate in the improvement of the restaurant. What do you think about these two comparisons?
Yeah, no, I think it's showing a capacity to evolve and the lack thereof, right? And the only distinction could be in the mission statement of the respective restaurants, right? One is a more conventional product design mission statement, and one is a more research and development based mission statement. And this is how the structurally they can justify the inclusion of voices of every employee in the structures of that restaurant, in the innovations of that restaurant. And like you said, they're still getting fries done. They're still getting, meals done potentially if they want to. But they're not dependent on that, the revenue stream. Particularly because their employees they're not necessarily employees, they're fellow researchers. They're getting upskilled as soon as they get in, as soon as they get to the job, right? And they've started to make innovations around machines, around packaging, like you said, for the fries that are different, right? And there's already been big revenue streams that have come into that because you're on the cutting edge, state of the art of packaging for fries. and so yeah, you sell fries, but that's or yeah, maybe you give those fries away by then because the revenue stream is so big because you're in partnership with the UN, or you have this the UN's SDGs models, right? You have connections to these networks, right, for these revenue streams, and it's all on your terms as a restaurant. So if you want to give the money, give the food away, you can, because you're not dependent on selling food, right? And so this is in my mind the equivalent of not dependent on selling data. How many ways can that extrapolate across the Web3 ecosystem? And can it extrapolate in such a robust way that it actually gives us an alternative to what's under Web2? And that's essentially what you see in that overarching model of the advocates and the pointing to data commons as a point of where anybody, or example anybody can have, right? You think about the hyper consumer facing app, right? You think about the data that goes along with it. That could usually be sold and part of the business model for that app. It seems like we could use some deep commodification models, right, for that. And the way I see that is research and development models. So I think it can leverage some of that momentum, right, that you hear from Lee. It's been a part of the Black Stack ethos since coming out of those Princeton labs. Right? Let's make Web3 synonymous with the unlocking potentials of the innovation and unlocking potentials of research and development. I'm getting as you bring these references to an ebook, and I realize how much of that is core to this particular ecosystem's ethos for since forever. It just makes me feel more. I don't know. Maybe I'm still wrong there, but I've been mulling this over for some time, and Merrick will tell you, right? Some of the first times that I was thinking about the impact research and development can have is unlocking us, right, from what we're exposed to. And it really does feel like unlocking, unlocking innovation, unlocking our imaginations for how we get things done. But hopefully that selling, not being dependent on the selling of data hits home in terms of hopefully how this can scale, and contribute to a very ambitious and grandiose goal of having something different as an alternative under the surface of Web3. What we have in terms of extractive, exploitative selling of data, which data is going to be the underpinning of literally everything we can think of: production, manufacturing, distribution. So I think it makes sense, right, for this. I think that's important bridge work, maybe, and maybe there's some language there that's useful that can use the momentum, right, that you bring up from Leap. But yeah, thanks for staying. Eric, I know you have something to say. You blew dots for me. Let me know if I can hear you.
Can you hear me now? No way. Damn.
I can hear you.
Hero can. Okay. How about now? Alright. Make it. Okay. I love hearing you spell it out, man. Just the tie-in to research and development and that. It's like when these pressures are coming in, it's that last little bit to squeeze out and be able to carry things forward. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's the kind of feeling that I get. And, yeah, it's making me think I need to write myself up and get involved with the research and development. Proposal that I got so many I've been procrastinating on, right? But that's like a thing I want to lock in and go forward with. And then this I really like the that last little tie-in of the restaurant model of tying the food and then tying it to data. And like the possibility, like would you just give that food away, right? And it's like what could we do with this data if we weren't selling it? And like been thinking about that for a long time. I had something to say earlier, but that was so long ago, I don't remember what it was. That's fine though. That's yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. I'm glad because I enjoyed everything I listened to. It's fine. It'll come back another time when the time's right,
Yeah, no, thank you kindly. But what can we do with the data if we weren't selling it? And think the answer is it unlocks us from being distracted by selling it and actually leveraging it for the tracking of complex dynamics in organizations, long-term sustainability. Because there's conventional high-value data that might come out of Advox translations, right? Then there's unconventional high-value data. That is all those invisible exchanges that you probably could sell data, right? And maybe advertisers could see some value in it, or other buyers could see some value in it for whatever mischievous reasons. But we know what we'd be using it for. To establish regenerative commons long term. And there's something there, right, in terms of the tracking mechanisms that is every bit as and more useful than money itself. And so it, because if you're getting things done, and so I think that may be the answer to that question, right? What would we be doing with the data if we weren't selling it? We'd be, tracking the morphology of it so that, no other reason to keep balance for the long term, maybe, right? If we were distracted by that commodification. And so, what happens if we commodify the good mind in that sense, right? Not commodify the people, not commodify the land, but you commercialize the models and the tooling for this type of invisible high-value data to be generated, right, by folks and to be replicated by folks who are probably going to try to commodify the data or products that get spit out by that data. But there's a whole lot of transformative potential built into the tooling. It'll be obvious to the generators of value using it. The more successful markets even will be the ones that genuinely decouple top-down power from innovation. The people that are going to try to commodify the data are going to have to introduce top-down authority to be able to do so. So it's like a peaceful Trojan horse in a lot of ways, in that sense, if we can pull it off. Research and development on our terms, Yeah. I think it's pretty ambitious and grandiose, but like you said, Nero, a good point you made earlier, right? It's about the transform potential and what we can get done. Not hitting every single base in that sense. But I hope all this makes sense. Thank you kindly for all your time. I think this was a beautiful session in a lot of ways, productive. Maybe the most productive. We won't know until we compare it back. But I know I got some pretty clear vision of what's possible with journeys, and some pretty clear, some more thorough articulation of some of these harder concepts to get across, or to just think of for the first time, honestly, maybe.
I remember the thing I wanted to say from earlier now. I guess there's a question for Hiro. When you were talking about bug bounties, were you talking about
Oh my god. Usually I'm asking the question. I can't believe I'm getting a question.
Yeah, it feels good to get a question. It's like, yeah, it means I got something to share. I won't go too deep on that. But when you're talking about bug bounties, and with Alex, were you talking about bug bounties as in, hey, there's a bug that I want to get fixed, so here's some money to do it? Or is it the kind of bug bounty that's like, hey, security bugs, here's some money, if you can hack us, you get the money, tell us how you hacked us, so that we can fix our
Yeah, it's more like a second. But I think there are other projects around that have specific bugs I want to fix, I guess. But specifically in Alex at the moment, there is this thing like come hack us, um, and I think it's actually quite a lot of money. It's like 100,000 USD. Um, I don't know whether that gets split or whatever, but it's a decent amount of money for. I think the contract has been reviewed because Alex is all about DeFi, right? And DeFi, you're securing people's wealth, like real money. It's not okay. NFT is wealth too in some ways, but DeFi is the exact stacks token, XBTC tokens, um, Alex tokens. Even if you just take Alex token away, we are securing Bitcoin, wrap Bitcoin, native STX. So it means the contract has to be written pretty securely. And I guess the little contact was that Arcadico, which was launched earlier than Alex last year, that project, DeFi project, also on Stacks, got hacked twice and depegged like by a mile when the CoinGecko had some random huge number displayed on one day. There was like 100 million, 1,000 price per Bitcoin. It was a day. And because Arcadico uses the price of CoinGecko, and it sort of fucked up the algorithm or whatever, and it messed up the treasury or the vote or whatever, the pool of money. But yeah, I think various bugs or specifically like loads of hackers, exploiter that say, hack the bridges, hack the different DeFi contracts around different ecosystems, different DeFi protocols. And because Arcadico has the precedence of being hacked last year, so Alex want to make sure when it's launched, it's as bulletproof as possible. Nothing can be bulletproof, but it do its best to have independent audits by professional guys, 2 audits or whatever, and also plus a bug bounty for any hacker who wishes to exploit it, find the bugs in the contract. So that's the full story of it.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you. Because when you first brought up bug bounty, right? I was thinking, and I think Harold, you were speaking more to like the bug bounties of like where it's more of like a bug, an issue in the program, and like it's around fixing that, as more so than the security bug. Because it's a bit of a nuance, and because I was listening to when Hero brought it up, bug bounty, and I was thinking, like I've really been enjoying how we're talking about journeys as opposed to bounties, right? Like the language and the direction that we're going with it, and moving away from commodifying. Really,
yeah, and that's why I brought it up, because in that sense, like how could Alex project have gone more bottom up approach and put out that hack bounty in place for people to come and hack that 100,000. So I'm trying to a little bit like poke Harold's brain. If it were in different world, if Harold was to start from Alex, how would he have set up that bounty, but in a journey way? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I was gonna say, like, of all the places where like you could use the word bounty, like a bug bounty, like a security bounty, that's like one where I could see that particular word and that particular setup being helpful, because it's like generally regarded as good security practice for software developers, whether that be like proprietary or open source, to have bug bounty programs where you have that pot of money to really encourage hacking, and if that hacking happens, to encourage like reporting it. And I was kind of thinking a little bit too. Well, okay, actually, I want to see if that spins up anything for Harold, or if anything Harold said spins up for Harold before I got another tie-in that I think I'll do, but I'll hop over there first.
Oh yeah, no, I was thinking about it as you guys were talking, and it's kind of what I was referring to in terms, whether it's this general, prevention of it, or it's this go try to exploit this thing. It seems there's overlap in terms of the product design of it all. Like I said, product design within product design. That's what I was referencing there, right? Because it's usually a product that they want to, you want to help, debug, right? And the debugging itself, in the context of bounties, is a product in itself, in some sense, right? Because it's about, in this case, the consumers, the software company or what have you that wants you to do the debugging. It's hyper consumer facing in that sense, right? Not really, taking note or zooming out on the different parts of labor or the different types of exchanges that were required to, hack away that, define that exploit. And maybe there's certain flows that, if there was a collective of folks working on it, that they used to maximize, to navigate away from burnout, for instance. Right? There's certain flows that they develop for each other that allow them to do this. To me, that would be a worthwhile innovation in addition to just resolving the bugs, right? Even if whether it was a find this exploit type of bounty or it was this general, this general type of prevention thing. So I don't know if that answers your question, but again, the analogy of the song and ad-libs, I think is how I was thinking about all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if I understand correctly, is that say that bounty was very product, like almost like an input and output, like a very straightforward product design outcome, whereas a system design, perhaps through it would have turned that particular, if it was done again in a system design way rather than product design way, that particular bug bounty might have become a more perhaps a more comprehensive interaction, and not as rigid and more fluid, and perhaps more participants involved, and maybe.
No, exactly. And you were saying something that made me think as well. Man, I'm losing it now. I think I need to eat. But,
we can reconvene again next. What? What, Merrick? What? You trying to keep it going?
No. Honestly, I gotta go too, and I'm all in favor of Harold eating.
Yeah, we can regather our thoughts next week when everybody had some food.
Of course, thank you. But there was something I don't want, it's so good. I want to be as well. But I'll just to wrap up maybe.
You just gotta have a few fries, and that thought will come back.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but there was something you were saying.
Comprehensive?
Here it is. All of a sudden, too, in that system design, when you zoom out and you're thinking about innovative ways of not burning out, for example, all of a sudden, what makes it not product design, what makes it system design, is the consideration for the generators of value. All of a sudden, what gets spit out isn't just beneficial for the company that put out the bounty. This is innovation that's beneficial for generators of value that are valuable to that company. And so that shows you how much innovation is being stagnated, and who is suffering the most out of that. It's not the valuation of companies that's suffering. Although maybe it is, because if the generators of value had maximum innovation in how they worked and lived, I'm sure the valuation of the company goes up as well. Right? I'm sure the company lasts longer as well too. So this is what I mean by a lot of the transformative potential is also wrapped up in how much it plays to the ego of folks who do have maybe a money first lens, but how no matter what we can. It's at our discretion to find momentum where we want to find momentum and use it on our terms. And a lot of it is just being exposed to different ways of organizing ourselves. And we don't know, right? Because we live in working systems that tell us we're not worth anything about how they pay us, tell us that our expression isn't meaning anything based on how they treat us, shows us that the land, the autonomy of the land isn't important based on the way that we scar it, right? So we internalize all of that. There's no way you don't internalize all of that. We feel that way about ourselves. We feel that way about each other, even when we're trying not to, because we're not exposed to what's orthogonal to that, the regenerative abundance, the seeing hidden capital in all of us, in ourselves and each other. And this is, I think, what's behind that, us not knowing what is at our discretion at any given point in time. Not only do we have to relearn freedom, we have to relearn what's possible with freedom. And all of the agency and power and empowerment that's wrapped up in that. So, this is a good closing. I don't know. But thank you, Carly, for sharing. These are precious. I can't wait to, I haven't gotten to it yet. I have a lot on my plate, but, listening back at these and getting documentation, right? All of these potential action items, discussion items. It's going to be a beautiful thing. We get to look back at all this. These have all been precious sessions, and I think they all build on one another in a very real, tangible way. And I think they'll be tangible in tooling and model soon too. I think this is no joke in a lot of ways. It's surreal.
Thanks a lot.
Good, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.